when they come in, they already expect a positive, fun environment in there. So you might need to be the one who brings that positive environment for them.
That energy is contagious. You gotta bring your A game for sure.
For sure.
Make yourself look stupid. Make yourself look silly. Be a little bit crazy.
Make a mistake.
Yeah, make a mistake.
Fail at something.
Use those teachable moments.
For real.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ben Landers, founder of the PESpecialist.com, and you're watching the Phys Ed Q&A show. This is a place we're going to just have some conversations around common questions related to physical education and try to help make your day a little bit more awesome. I hope you enjoy it, and just want to remind you, show note links will be down in the description of the video. And if you would rather listen to the video's audio in audio form, we do have a podcast, which you can check out for all you podcasters. Just search for the Phys Ed Q&A show. Let's get into the show, and I hope you really enjoy it. What's up, guys? This is Ben and Marcus. We are back at it with another episode of the Phys Ed Q&A podcast. And we're going to talk about, in this episode, a very common problem, which is kids are talking while you're talking. You're trying to teach. You're trying to give them golden nuggets, and they keep talking to their friends. So one of the most common questions that we get on the side is, what are the strategies and what things can you do to keep kids from talking during instruction? Coach Nelms, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's talk about kids talking in class.
All right.
First of all, we just talk about it's a life problem. Just like Ben was talking about before, even adults struggle not talking when at the appropriate time. So you have to understand that feeds from kids understand that, and they feed that from what they see around them. So again, having that patience and having that humility with them is a great way for you to help destroy that problem of kids talking while you're talking or talking at the wrong time or anything like that. So one thing that we try to do...
Duct tape.
Yeah, right. One thing that we try to do is build a relationship with students and build a relationship with classes. The saying goes that kids don't know what they don't know, and they don't know until you care. So and once you can figure out that students care, that you care about them, then they'll understand about what you're trying to teach them. So I like to have real conversations with my students, sit them down, talk about different ways that their talking is affecting everyone else in their class, and how that one person or a group of people who are talking while I'm talking is just going to take away from their time, and how it destroys their PE lesson. So having that relationship with them is a great starting point to try to get students to understand when the time and place is for them to talk, and to understand and respect their time in the gym and your time as their teacher. So building that relationship is one of the first things that I would do to try to negate that talking during class.
For sure. Definitely echo that. And just a side note, when you're in a faculty meeting and your principal is trying to give you some professional development, don't get on your phone. Don't talk to the teachers. I hear teachers complaining about their students, and then as soon as the faculty meeting starts, they're complaining before the faculty meeting, and then as soon as it starts, our principal's trying to give instructions, and they're sitting here talking to somebody else, not paying attention. I'm like, come on, that's karma. Your kids are doing exactly what you're doing. And the same thing goes if you're at a conference, somebody's trying to present. If you don't want to be there, just go somewhere else. If you're going to be a hindrance to what they're trying to show people, you got to practice what you preach. Your video needs to match your audio.
True.
So just a side note, but definitely got to build that relationship. Kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. And then another thing is have your key phrases down, have your speech that you're going to give to kids that will explain the reasons why they need to listen during instructions. For example, when my kids are talking, I just always go back to, why do you think I want you to listen when I'm talking? And the kid, I've said it enough times where we're going to have that exact same conversation again, where the kid's like, because you're trying to teach us something. I'm like, why am I trying to teach you something? They're like, because you want us to be successful. I'm like, that's why you're in school. You're in school because every teacher at this school is trying to play a small part in your success in life. And if you don't listen to the things that they're telling you, you're not going to be successful. And then let's take it a step farther. You're hurting the rest of your class because you're not listening right now.
And so when I get done and everybody's moving around, you're going to be doing the wrong thing because you didn't listen to the instructions.
Yeah.
You don't know how to play the game. So then you're going to be sitting over there in timeout because you broke a rule, and then you're the one that's going to miss out, and the rest of your class is going to be missing out on that teammate. And so I try to bring it back to the why of, this is why you need to listen. It's not just because I like to hear myself talk. It's because I'm trying to help you be successful. You remind the kids that you're on their team. It goes back to the relationship thing. And then remind them that it's not just them that they're hurting when they do that. It's everybody else that's sitting around them. So we build in that self-responsibility back into it of, look, we're all here to accomplish a goal and accomplish a job, and you're a big part of the team, and right now you're not doing your job.
True statement. We do I know you do it, we do the scale, and the more time you talk, the less time you get, and it gives kids a visual of seeing like, hey, if I'm talking, I'm wasting the time that we have for activity, and then I'm losing the time that I could be doing that. So if you want to play more, then you need to talk less. I mean, that's one of the things that we try to do, to try to get real world conversations in them, and to understand that what they're doing is affecting not only themselves but everybody else in their class. And then we also have the leverage of, except for kindergarten for Ben, is seeing them once a week. So I have a conversation and said, hey, how many times do you have PE? And they go, once. And it's like, how many times do you get to play this game? Like Star Wars, for example. And they say, once. And I go, you know what? Coach Knowles gets to play this game 6 times a day, every single day. And you get to play it one time, and we're wasting our time because somebody's talking. So trying to put in perspective and try to get them to think outside of their mind can help to alleviate some of the problems with students talking.
Yeah, scarcity is a good one, and that is only going to work if you're actually teaching different things throughout the year. If you play the same game over and over again, kids might be talking because they're bored.
Yeah.
And so a big part of it is, is what you're teaching something that they have not seen yet, or at least haven't seen that year. Because when you're playing a game and the kids know that's the only time that entire year that they're going to get to play that game, they're much more motivated to listen so they don't miss out on any time.
True that.
So use that scarcity for sure. We got a question from Instagram Live. What week do you get into stations with kindergarten? I get into it about the 5th lesson. So we do rules, procedures, we teach basic skills, and then we start doing those basic skills after that. That was a question from our previous podcast, tips for teaching kindergarten. Go check it out if you haven't listened to it yet. And another tip for getting kids to stop talking would be start with the instant activity. So if your kid, you gotta imagine your kids when they're in school, they're sitting at a desk all day, most likely. And they might have 20 minutes of recess before they come to you, depending on when they come. But most likely they're sitting at a desk all day. Their brains are not active. They're like dazed and confused when they walk into the gym. And so getting them moving quickly, do a quick 30-second review and then get them moving in some kind of instant activity. I'll link below in the show notes some ideas if you're not sure what kind of instant activities you can do. But if you look up the research on brain activity, after 20 or even 2 or 3 minutes of moving, the brain is so much more active, it's ready to listen more.
Correct.
So that's one reason why if you're not doing an instant activity before you start instruction, you're not giving your kids, you're not setting them up for success.
And then 2 to 3 minutes while they're walking and jogging or doing an activity, they get a chance to talk and communicate because the music is on, and you've taught those rules that, hey, when the music is on, that's a great time for you to talk. They can get that energy out, and they get that, and they'll become more engaged when you actually sit them down and talk to them and teach them and do different things like that. So giving them a chance to get out that energy with an instant activity is a great way to help eliminate some of that talking while you're talking.
For sure. Another one is when kids do not meet the expectations, provide consequences and do it quickly and do it very clearly and do it in a way too that shows them that you're on their team. So not in a way that's harsh or hurtful, but in a way that's going to communicate to them, man, I'm sorry that you were talking while I'm talking because you're going to have to miss out on the next game. I need you to go sit down over there. For me, the expectations we have in our gym is we have 3 strikes. Strike 1 is a warning. So I'll say, hey, strike 1, please don't talk while I'm talking. Strike 2 is go have a seat on the side and do a refocus or a timeout, and then I will come and talk to you, and we'll have the exact same conversation every single time, which is do you know why you're sitting out? And they'll say either yes or no. If they say no, we'll talk about it till they figure out why they're sitting out. And when you have that conversation with them, my goal is to get my kids to understand the reason that I want them not to talk is, like we talked about before, so they can be successful, and so the class can be successful. And what you'll have a lot of times, especially in kindergarten, you'll see their response is, why are you not supposed to talk when the teacher's talking? And they'll say, so I won't get in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's all about them. And then if you have those conversations with your kids as they progress in fifth grade, all my fifth grade students will say, because the people around me can't listen and they're not going to know what to do, and then we're going to waste our PE time and we're not going to be successful. Because I've had that conversation with them for 5 years, so they know. So definitely provide those clear consequences. That's one thing when I have student teachers, it's hard for them to do that quickly because they don't want to be seen as the bad guy and their classes get out of control. And so I'll say, hey, first 5 minutes with this class, I guarantee you there's going to be 5 people that are going to talk. When you're talking, I need you to give out 5 strikes. And when they do it, the class goes so smooth.
Oh, yeah.
So do it up front, nip it in the bud. Make sure you do it in a way that communicates you're on their team, you're on their side, and try to bring it back to that why, like we talked about, like Marcus was talking about at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. We have the same kind of consequences at my school. We also try to communicate the same way Ben does about when you're in that timeout or refocused area, about why you're in there, going back to building that why. And it helps out at my school because we have 2 teachers. So while one teacher is teaching, even if that other teacher put them in timeout or refocus, the other one can go over there and talk to them and then get them back in the activity as quickly as possible. So we like to have that conversation with them as well, building that rapport with them. And I'm a big all man type of teacher. So if a student has to go out, I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to go sit in timeout because you were talking while the teacher was talking. And then I'll try to direct my conversation to the students while talking to that student over there. It's like, Coach Nelson feels really sad that Tyler had to sit out because he was talking, and hopefully Tyler can come back and help his classmates get through all the lessons. So, including everyone in that conversation helps to build that rapport with that student. And if you can get that student to understand what they're doing is affecting everybody else in the class, that can help eliminate some of the talking while they're talking. So all those things Ben's talking about, doing those different things over there can help students as well.
Devin Hoops on Instagram is asking about when we start instant activities. For me, the only lesson when I don't do an instant activity is the very first day of school. You can see, we'll put another link in the description for the first day of school lesson plan. You can kind of see how I handle that first week, going over rules and procedures. But that first week, we practice the instant activity about midway through the lesson, and then every day after that, as soon as they walk in the door, we're doing an instant activity of some kind. And I'll have some links down in the show notes as well for some examples of that if you're looking for some ideas.
We do the instant activity a little bit different because Ben mostly has one class in the gym. We have 2 classes in the gym, so from experience and being at River Springs, I know they come in and then he has a quick conversation with them and then they get started. We have 2 classes coming in, so we let the kids continue to walk around the outside, the perimeter of the gym until all the classes and groups have gotten in. Then we do the stop signal. Then we have a quick conversation. Then we get right into it. So it's just a little bit different, but I know some people have double classes in there, so just want to try to throw that out there at you. If you have a double class, we just have the kids continue to walk around while we wait for another class, or 2 classes coming in at the same time, so that we just don't have one group standing there and then we have to have another group go around them or something like that. So we do that, and then we do a stop signal, and then we do a quick talk, and then right into the instant activity. So just a little bit different.
Good tips. Another thing, if you're struggling with kids talking, is you can either videotape yourself teaching or have somebody put a timer on you. You can have a student do it and see how long your talking segments are. Because if your talking segment goes over 5 minutes, forget about it. You went too long.
Way too long.
You need to break it up. You need to have a quick intro. And, I guess there are maybe a few exceptions for why you would need to talk that long, but you're going to lose your students. Their attention spans are not that long. So you need to try to aim for that quick intro to your task or your lesson, and then you break it up and you have the kids stop and you give a little refinement, or you give an extension for the next thing they're trying to do or the next level or however you're going to extend that task. But the more you talk, the more chances you're going to have of your kids talking while you're talking because they're getting bored. So try to talk small, less, short, keep it short and sweet.
When I'm planning a lesson, that's one of the main things that I'm trying to do is how can I relate all the information that I need to relate to them as quickly as I can, because they're not here for me. They're here to enjoy the physical activity that we can provide for them. So the less that I can say something, the more time that they're going to be able to do the activity. I try to get them involved with it. So like, when we teach things, we try to include them in the teaching. So if we, playing a different game or doing something like that, we might include them in the task of what the game is about. So that way they're included in there. So if you have to say, if there's a game that you have to explain that's really long, you want to include the students in there to try to get their brains working before you sit them back down. And I also try to preference and say, hey, I want you to play this game as fast as possible. I need about 2 or 3 minutes to say everything that I need to say. If you cannot say anything, then that's going to be more time that you're going to get to play this game. So we like to preface that before the game starts so that they already know. It's like, if I'm quiet for 2 or 3 minutes, then I know Coach Nellens and Coach Landers are going to get us playing the game as quickly as possible. So including the students in there and making that a priority to talk as less as possible can help eliminate some of the talking in your class.
For sure. We do a survey every year at the end of the year with our 4th and 5th grade students, and one of the most common things, one of the questions is, what advice can you give students who will be in PE next year? One of the most common things kids say is, if you stop talking, you have more time to play. So they're starting to get that message towards the end.
Yeah.
But that's important to talk about it with your kids beforehand.
No doubt.
Creating a positive and fun culture is important. If your class is not fun, then your kids are not going to be motivated to listen because they don't care if they miss out on the time. But if your PE class is the best part of that student's week, then they are going to stop talking so that they can hear what you have to say and so that they don't miss out on any time in PE class.
No doubt.
And you're always going to have an issue with talking, like we talked about at the beginning, but that's going to help. The more you can find ways to make your class more fun, the more ways you can hook students, find out what they're into, find some cool YouTube clips that can really give them an interest in whatever you're trying to teach them. Those things can go a long way. Find a kid in the class who's had experience and have them tell their classmates about it. Any way that you can find to make it more fun and more engaging, using that provocation, like Andy Vasily talks about a lot. He's blogged about showing your kids real life stories that relate to what you're trying to teach them. It helps them connect with that why, and it helps them be motivated to listen and want to learn, take responsibility for their learning.
Even if the content that you're teaching may not be a positive, fun thing for them, you can be the positive, fun thing for them. Bring the energy with the students every time they come in there. If you are looking like you're enjoying what's going on, then the kids are going to jump on board because they want, especially elementary level, they want to please what the teacher is doing. So even if I'm teaching something that I might not be great at, or there's something that I know the students might not really enjoy as much, I try to pump myself up to get it on there. So that way that I can create that environment. And if you consistently do that over and over again, that's the only expectation that the students know. So when they come in, they already expect a positive, fun environment in there. So you might need to be the one who brings that positive environment for them.
That energy is contagious. You gotta bring your A game for sure.
For sure.
Make yourself look stupid. Make yourself look silly. Be a little bit crazy.
Make a mistake.
Yeah, make a mistake.
Fail at something. Oh yeah.
Use those teachable moments.
For real.
Yeah, for sure. One other thing I just remembered when we were talking about spend less time talking. The less time that you spend talking with your kids, the more time you're going to have to be able to watch the kids when they're in activity and grab those teachable moments in the lesson. So when the things that are going to matter most to your students are the things that you saw them doing, and then you stop the class and you talk about what they just did. So it's directly applicable to them. So the less time you spend talking, more time you spend observing your kids and giving feedback, the better you're going to be able to take advantage of those teachable moments for your students.
Oh, yeah. If they're playing, they're not talking.
You want to do incentives and levels?
Yeah, let's talk about incentives and levels. We are big level teachers. We like to break down the content into levels. That is a great motivational tool and great incentive tool for students. We also like to do culminating events, activities at the end of units and lessons, and provide incentives for those students over there. I know Ben likes to do a lot of things with Foursquare and champions of certain things. They get an incentive at the end of class. We try to do the same things over there. If you can lay out those incentives and those levels for students, that's a great way for them to keep them engaged. And if they're engaged in the activity, they're going to be less likely to be engaged in something else, maybe talking to their friends or talking while you're talking. So we like to break down all of our games, activities into levels. And it is a great motivational tool if you can go, well, you just completed level 1. Now we're going to move on to level 2. And kids get really excited about getting to the next level. So if you can level and gamify your different activities, that would be a great way for you to try to eliminate some of the talking in your class.
For sure. Gamification is big. And it's cool when you start to build that into your games and the things that you do, your kids, you'll see them be more motivated to listen because they want to make it to that last level because their friend at recess told them what they did at level 5. And then at the end of class, when you're like, oh, we didn't get to level 5. Sorry, guys. They're going to be like, oh man, we didn't get to do that. So it's another way to motivate kids. Got 2 questions on Instagram Live. The first one was some ideas for what you do, stations for fitness assessments. If you check out the pspecialist.com/fitnessgram, you can see a very detailed overview of how we do fitness testing. So I'm going to leave that one. And then also any tips for dealing with bad sportsmanship. If you Google the good sportsmanship code, that's the system that we use to deal with good sports or bad sportsmanship. And we'll also put some links down in the description for those too. Yeah. And then prevention over cure. This actually applies to that bad sportsmanship question. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if you have a class that is really talky and is chatty Cathy's and you had trouble with them in the previous weeks, when you start the lesson with them, you can have a conversation, put it in the front of their mind and remind them, guys, yesterday's class, they got to do all of this. And you guys, the last week, only got to do half of what they did. And so they're going to be so far ahead of you if y'all don't get it together and listen so we can get through all the things I'm trying to teach you. Again, because I want you to be successful.
Yeah.
So, have that quick 30-second. Now, I'm not talking about a 5-minute speech, 30-second conversation with your kids and then get the class started. And that will help remind them, to have a better class. So set the tone early before you're dealing with the problem after it starts. Same thing with sportsmanship. If you have a class that struggles with sportsmanship, you have that conversation with them up front. Guys, we're not playing in the NBA. Nobody's paying you to be here. We're just trying to have fun. We're all on a team together. We're trying to learn together. You can use a good sport code poster to help you with that as well. So,
yeah, and if it's not a whole class issue, if there's a group of students or a student who causes the issue as far as talking in there, you can have that whole group that Ben was just talking about, conversation with that particular student. When they're walking in, doing the NC activity, bring that kid over and say, hey, I know last week was last week. It's already over. I forgot about it. Let's have a good week this week. If you have something you want to say, make sure you raise your hand. If you want to talk and you can't feel it, just wait until the music starts. When the music starts and you're playing a game or you're doing an activity, you can talk as much as you want. But I don't want you to derail the rest of your classmates' PE time. So you can have that prevention conversation with them before the class even starts, especially if it's an individual or a group of people who are eliminating the time for everybody else in the class. So you can do it as a whole class, you can do it as an individual. It's just what's best for your school and your situation. So what Ben said is absolutely correct, and we try to do that every time to eliminate any of those problems or those situations.
Good stuff. Hope that was helpful, guys. Just a quick recap on some of the main points. It comes down to respect. If your kids respect you, then they will listen to what you have to say. How do you build respect? By working hard, by showing them and leading by example. by providing fun, engaging lessons, and also reminding them why they're there, reminding them why you need them to listen to you. Don't just say, because I'm your teacher. No, tell them why they should listen to you. It should be very easy for you to explain that to your kids. And if it's not, then you need to either think about how to explain it, or you need to be teaching something else. Because if you can't explain why your kids need to learn what they're learning, then you need to become a better salesman, a better advocate for your program and what you're teaching. Any closing remarks? A lot of good stuff.
Having that patience, understanding kids are coming from a different situation. Talking might be their only avenue to get any energy or anything like that. Having that patience, being able to put yourself in their position and not let it frustrate you. Don't take it personal. It's not a personal attack on you. It's just what they're trying to do to be aware of their situation. So being patient, doing all those things that we tell you, as far as like key phrases and all those different things like that, and enjoying it, being the energy, doing the things, trying to talk less, all those different things will help you try to curb some of that talking in your PE class.
And there will be no 100% cure.
No,
you will always deal with the struggle. But hopefully some of those tips will help. As always, take what works and trash what doesn't. It's going to be different for everybody. Modify all the things that we said to fit your situation and help you out. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to check out the podcast notes, go to thepespecialist.com/podcast. You can check out our YouTube channel. We'll also have all the links down there for everything that we talked about. Thanks for being here. Hope you have an awesome day. Have fun and teach on. Later, guys.
Thanks for watching, guys. That's it for this episode of the Phys Ed Q&A show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, and don't forget to share with somebody that you think might benefit from the conversation. Just a reminder that we'll have all the show notes linked below in the video description, and if you would rather listen to the audio version, we do have a podcast, which is in iTunes. You can search that on your favorite podcast player app, and be sure to subscribe. Hope you guys have an awesome day. As always, have fun and teach on, and we'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching the video. I wanted to let you know this video is sponsored by the PE Specialist membership community, where our teachers have access to great tools like unit plan samples, station signs, trainings, tutorials, and even community forums. If you think the membership might be a good fit for you, you can head over to thepespecialist.com/info for some more information. Hope you guys have an awesome day.